Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. In this video I'm going to show you a tour of my music room. So let's go. Right, okay, we're going to look at my components now. We'll start off with the amplifiers down here. A lot of my stuff is quite old now. I'm using the Arcam Alpha 10 amp, which was purchased around 2001. So I use that. I'm also using the Arcam Alpha 10 power amp. So as you can guess, I'm bi-amping. I still listen to quite a lot of radio. I still have my old Arcam Alpha 8 tuner. It's only an AM FM tuner, but I still think that FM sounds far better than DAB, which we'll get into on another video at some stage. So those are those. Then coming up here, I'm using a Pioneer DV-LX50. This is actually a DVD player, but it plays SACD and it also upscales normal DVD, which a lot of people think is very old now, but it upscales a lot of DVD to 1080p. This was meant to have been the best upscaling DVD player that ever went through the What Hi-Fi testing rooms. So that's that. I don't actually use a DAC of that inside that. I do obviously for the SACD, because the DAC that I'm using don't take that high quality. So I'm going down to this now, which is basically the Cambridge Audio DAC Magic from around about 2008, I think I purchased this. And then after that I upgraded the power supply, because the power supply is pretty rubbish, and I'm using this called a Little Pinky SE. There you go. This actually makes the DAC Magic sound so much better. I am using some real quality cables. A lot of them are made by me. One isn't. So I'll go on to that in another video, so I'm not really going to mention cables too much. Then I go up here. I do have a cassette deck, but it's more of a gimmick than anything. It's not audiophile by no means, but I do a lot of running, and I'm a bit of a retro man. I have a couple of Walkmans, so I record onto chrome and metal cassettes. They've got so expensive now, the metal ones, that I don't really buy many of those now, but I've still got some old ones. So that's that. Then over to my vinyl section. Okay, I'm using a Riga Planar 3, and it looks a bit dusty under there now. So I've done many upgrades to this. I'll start off with a cartridge. Probably won't be able to see it too well on this video. I'm using a Nagoka MP500 cartridge. Cost me around about, I think it was about $5.50 when I bought it. The only thing is, although this is a Riga Planar 3, it's actually only using an RB250 arm for some reason. I'm not sure why that was, but that's how I purchased it. I upgraded the counterweight on the back and the stub to a low mass counterweight. I've upgraded the platter to a acrylic platter. It's quite a thick one. I'm using an aluminium sub platter. I'll take that off to show you that. And I've upgraded the belt to a silicone belt, and the motor pulley I upgraded as well to aluminium. So that was that. And underneath I'm using a Zorbophane motor jacket to absorb any frequencies that stop it from resonating through the deck. I do find it helps a bit. I rewired the power supply, so I'm using 10% cladded 10% silver cladded copper mains cable on it, which I wired in myself and I made up myself. And I'll explain all about that in the other video when I come on to talking about my mains and my cables and all that. So I've also fitted some oak cone feet on the bottom, which I've sprayed black. Now this is my isolation table for it, which is made up of a crate formation that I've been messing about with, testing until I got it fairly right. I'm using quite thick oak blocks on the underneath of it with spikes on the underneath of that, and then I'm going on to a piece of oak. It's like a butcher's block oak really, so which I've painted black. It all needs a bit of an update now probably, so I need to re-polish them. And then I'm using some Zorbophane feet on the underneath. Now this rack that I've got here is not very good. I just knocked it up when I moved into this house. It's only made of MDF, and this plinth there, I've made it quite thick, so it's not too much resonance coming up, so from the floor at all. It is a concrete floor, so you won't get too much, but I'm trying to keep it as much as I can. Using this clever clamp on there, it's not very heavy, so it's good for not wearing out the motor too much. And then I'm using this Edward Audio Apprentice Phono Stage, or phone amp, or whatever you want to call it. I'm also using one of my isolation stands underneath that as well, so which I've made up myself. Right, okay, going up to the speakers. As I said, a lot of this stuff of mine is quite old, but it's still quality. I'm using these, which are Monitor Audio S1s, silver ones, from around about 2000. I think I paid around about 500 for them at the time. They're not the best. Obviously, some of you guys have probably got a lot better speakers and a lot better system than I have. So, but you know, I'll be upgrading stuff. My whole system is work in progress. It always is. Never really stop. I'm using. I mean, this room is sort of really an AV room in a way. I've got the TV out there with a Skybox and one of these Android boxes and that 47-inch TV, which is quite old now as well. Now it's about 7 years old, something like that. LCD, one of the original ones that came out. I have one of these desktop radios, Pure Vanti Flow. Now this is DAB. I'm not a great lover of DAB, but it still seems to be the way things are going. I know there's internet radio, which I do access through the Android box, which I'll come on to in another video as well. So this Pure radio, I did think this was quite good, so I bought two of them in the end. I've got one in the bedroom as well, much to my wife's disappointment. So that's that. Okay, I am using a Monitor Audio subwoofer, not generally for music. We bought it just as a bit of fun for some deep bass from rare explosions in films and that we watch. So that's that. Right, okay. I'll start off with the CDs over here. Like everybody else, went for a CD period, which I regret now. CDs are quite good still, I suppose. So I still prefer vinyl, but and at the top is another Sad Passion, just the cassettes and all that, which I use for running. Got a couple of Ava Walkmans here. I'm a bit of a stickler for buying things that are in mint condition, so there's loads of old good Sony ones, but they all seem to be all not in very good condition. So I've got a couple of Ava ones there, that one there, and this one's a particularly nice one, which is a bit better. It does auto reverse and all that stuff. When you're running, you don't really want to keep having to stop the turn the. Can't really see that on that video. It's gone a bit. It's a bit mad and that. There you go. So that's that. Right. Okay. So I've got a big selection of CDs here. I think I've got about 600 altogether. I've got some more in the garage. All sorts of stuff. So that's that. A couple of pictures there that my daughter made for me. A few jazz people on there and that. Same with the other side there. Yeah, that's that. This is my listening couch there, which I bought and recovered myself. So that's that. And this is my vinyl box where I keep all my vinyl. This is such a small room that I don't have a lot of space. Now this was an old conservatory. So what I did is I put a proper roof on it and I put a load of blinds around there. This side doesn't have any blinds at the moment. I just hang some sheets over that when I'm doing some serious listening and stop any music. It's sound bouncing off the glass, which is very poor really. So that's that. So the vinyl again now. I'll go back to the vinyl again. This is my vinyl box. Got loads of different stuff in there. Some cables I'm working on for headphones, which I'm going to show you in another video soon. Some other cables there that I've made up. And then I've cheated a little bit. I'm going to be rewiring the tone arm on the Riga. I was going to make the cable up myself, but at the time and that, so you can't really see that. This is like a. You can't see that. I've had to put the flash on this because you can't really see in this room otherwise with the flash off very well. So anyway, this is silver plated copper, which I don't really like using silver plated copper, but it's better than the wire that's on there at the moment. Loads of stuff in here. A lot of 12-inch singles from the 80s. Bit of an 80s boy really. Yeah, so I think I've got around about 500 albums on vinyl. More recently, once I started getting a bit more serious about the music, gone into sort of jazz stuff and that. So jazz current albums over here that I've been listening to. Obviously new stuff there that I've recently purchased. Ray Charles album, Springsteen. Now these are interesting. Got a couple of these albums. We've got this Bruce Springsteen one there, Prince one. They just came from a store that was shutting down in my area. But dreadful, absolutely dreadful. They're not recorded very well. They're not pressed very well either. They're quite poor. Nora Jones, which I like. I never had this album. Well, I think I've actually got it on a CD. So I wanted it on an LP. So I purchased it from the massive big company that delivers everything. It turned up, it was absolutely dreadful. The background noise on it was dreadful. The dynamics was dreadful. So I sent it back. Went back down to my local record store. I think actually someone bought that for me. That's what it was. And that's why it came from that big company. I'm not going to mention names. So I sent it back, went down to my Black Circle Records, they ordered it again, turned up, so it looks identical but sounds so much different. It's amazing the difference it can make. Marvin Gaye, this is a weird one, this is a 10-inch. It's almost like a single, that is, but you know, loads of stuff in it. Anyway, that's all the stuff I've been listening to. Yeah, different bits and pieces and that. This is all sort of the newer stuff, or some bits that I've sieved out of my collection there that I started listening to. Some old stuff there, bits and pieces. So that's that. Put this stuff back in there. So that's that. I think that's probably about it. Array of remote controls and that. Too many remote controls. This isolation table here under the DVD player is basically, the whole thing's made from balsa wood. Well, it's balsa wood and 3mm MDF. Even these feet are made from balsa wood. It's made up of a crate formation like that one, but with this one I used thin bits of oak on that one. So I've done a bit of experimenting with a few things, but this one is particularly good, and I shall show you in an upcoming video how to make one of these. Quite time consuming, so that's why I haven't. These ones at the bottom, these isolation tables at the bottom there, I'm using some granite, and basically I'm using oak cone feet on the bottom of those. I started using loads of granite at first before I started really getting into testing different stuff. It's all time and all that. When you've got families and ages, I haven't got the time for it and that. So granite under that one, and granite under this one here, which is under the cassette deck, which I've also fitted oak cone feet to. So basically that is my system, I think, altogether. So okay, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like my videos and subscribe to my channel. So thanks a lot.